A significant weekend in the Premier League to look forward to, and of course, first against sixth dominates, doesn't it? Liverpool and Manchester United, the two most successful teams in English club football history, will meet on Sunday, but the gap is a chasm. 16 points after 16 games. It's the widest gap, the biggest advantage Liverpool had over United at this stage of any season since 1990. Let's start our deep dive into this game by hearing from Jose Mourinho.
Jose, this Liverpool team, it feels very much like it's in the image of Jurgen. He's been able to build it to look very much like him. How far away is this United team from being in your image?
Far.
Why is that?
Far.
But the reason?
The reasons I was telling him is not just about football players. A football team is not just about spending the money. A football team is a little bit like a house too. A house is not just about buying new furniture. You have to do work in the house, and when the house is ready, then you buy the furniture, you spend money in the best possible furniture, and then you are ready to live in an amazing house.
Where do we start, Craig? For starters,
the living room.
He spent 2.5 years living in a hotel, so he's no place to be talking about houses, is it?
Well, if he's talking about building houses, he's 2.5 years in. His house is, everything's, the roof's blown off, the doors are off, the windows are broken. There's no point putting any furniture in because it's pouring cats and dogs through the hole in the roof because there's so many problems there. And, you know, it is a team moulded in his mentality at the moment because his mentality is, you know, one of excuses, one of, you know, fighting with the media, one of fighting with his players, and kind of that's how this team seems to be at the moment. Although there's not a bundly fight about the actual team itself, it's quite a sad indictment of a side now have spent that much money that are 16 points behind Liverpool, going into a huge game, which you know they could, if they play a defensive game, which I think they will, they could get something out of it. Potentially, but if Liverpool play to their full potential, I think it could be a relatively comfortable victory for the Reds, for Liverpool.
We seem to have been here so many times before with Mourinho, though. The omelette and eggs comment, which was a decade ago, wasn't it? How can I make an omelette if I can't buy the eggs? You know, it's the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm a little confused as to what the house is. Is he talking about the club structure itself? Is he taking a shot at those that are making decisions above him or that are perhaps bypassing him and making decisions in terms of the club? And if that's the case, then, hey, Jose, if you don't like it, if this house is not pretty enough for you, if Manchester United is not a big enough house for you, then walk away. Nobody's forcing you to stay here. And by the way, if somebody can impact what actually happens within the structure of the club is the manager, and certainly so Jose Mourinho, who we know has power, who we know wields power. And so if that's the case, then maybe you can change the furniture and you can change the house and you can put a paint color on it that you wanted. But the problem is that whatever changes that he has made, it has not worked either.
Look, for me, this is quite clearly Jose Mourinho having another dig at Woodward. And on one hand, he's right. Woodward, ever since he inherited the job from Gill, has not been anywhere near as good a chief exec as Gill was, and it's shown. I mean, that's also kind of added to the fact that Sir Alex Ferguson walked away at the same time. But for Jose Mourinho, given his spending, given what we've seen from him and from his teams over the last 2.5 years, this has got to be a team that, at the very least, starts to look like Jose Mourinho.
And that sort of money buys a pretty good house, doesn't it?
Why do you spend this amount of money, in his terms, on furniture if you still have questions about the house? The other thing I think that doesn't help Jose Mourinho in looking any better in all of this is that we've seen this before. Ever since he left Inter Milan, some success at Real, it unraveled rather quickly. Some success at Chelsea, good success at Chelsea in his second spell, unraveled very quickly. He came in here, was very happy to take credit, and started to boast about 3 major trophies very early on, which is rather ridiculous in my opinion. But now it's unraveled, and now, as willing as he was to take the credit, he's not willing to take the blame.
No, I know Rob was waiting very patiently. Let me just say, and I'll repeat what I said a couple of days ago, it's a train crash at the moment. It's not going to get much better. It might get a little better. It won't get a lot better. You've got to see some, for a manager, And the thing is with David Gill and Sir Alex Ferguson worked great in tandem. It was a great partnership.
Yeah.
There's no structure, there's no partnership at Manchester United. But you've got to have a structure within your team, you've got to have a backbone within your team, and you've got to have a clear plan. We have a team who are getting no results, who are playing poorly, who have qualified in Europe, but I don't think that's much to shout about because they'll go out sooner rather than later. You've got the star player probably want to transfer in Paul Pogba. You've got the guy who's got a security van behind him with his wages in every week, Alexis Sanchez, not playing. You've got all these other you've got Lukaku coming out talking about weight and this. You've got youngsters not playing. You've got so many problems there. It's not going to alleviate itself until... And I keep saying this, we're repeating it, until they change the manager, nothing's going to change at this club.
But Stewart, he keeps on coming back to the same refrain. Your thoughts on this emphasis on structure, which Mourinho keeps on going to?
Well, when he can't get success with the team, which is his job, he's got to make sure they play well week in, week out. He's got to pick the right team. He's got to pick the right players when he does his recruitment. If he can't get that right, then he has a go at somebody that the board, the structure of the club, the academy, whatever it may be, even the fans, I think he's having a little bit of a go at. He's having a go at everybody, barring himself. And Alejandro's absolutely right about that's what he's trying to complain about, the structure of the club. He's just got to get on with his side of the game, and that's to coach the players, make them a better team, pick the right players, and get on with the players. At the moment, they're at loggerheads, and if you loggerheads between the players and the manager, you're never going to win football matches.